What's going on, guys? Dustin here with another Star Trek The Official Starships collection from Eaglemoss, and we are taking a look at the U.S.S. Reliant, NCC-1864. And, finally for a change, instead of the U.S.S. Majestic that we actually lastly saw in the previous video, the U.S.S. Defiant, Reliant, no, bugger. Okay, so, she's a Miranda-class starship launched in the 23rd century with a length of 233 centimeters and max speed of warp 9.2, so let's take a look. In order to assemble the stand, it slides to the back of the saucer and make sure that the top part fits underneath the roll bar. We'll take a look at that when we get around to it. Her registry is NCC-1864, just like what I said. Miranda class with a prefix code. I'm not sure what a prefix code is. It's 16309. Destroyed in 2285. We're not sure about the launch date. Launch year. 11 decks. 4 photon torpedo launchers, 6 Type 7 phaser arrays, and 4 unknown type phaser arrays. And its only captain is Clark Terrell. So here is the U.S.S. Reliant. Miranda-class vessels are normally used for science or supply assignments rather than extent exploration missions, such as they were actually equipped with a host of scientific scanners. Right here, Captain of the Reliant was Clark Terrell, seen here with First Officer Chekhov. The ship was assigned to find a substantially lifeless planet that could be used to test the Genesis device, which is a new technology that completely rewrite the energy matrix of the planet, actually creating the new life but killing off the old. So the USS Reliant entered history books when it was hijacked by Khan Noonien Singh. It's a madman obsessed with revenge. And here's some things if you don't know about this, because a lot of people know. When Khan said, "I'll chase him around the moons of Nibia and round the Antares Maelstrom and round the Herdian's flames before I give him up," it's actually paraphrasing Ahab, who was the main protagonist of Moby Dick by Herman Melville. I have not read the book, but maybe I will someday. What's actually much unique about the Reliant is that the Miranda class do not have a secondary engineering hull, but consists of a larger saucer section. 2 warp nacelles are mounted below. Even 2 shuttle bay numbered 1 and 2, which we will take a look at. Unlike many Federation ships, Miranda-class vessels do not have an engineering hull. It has much of a cut-down design, which remnants of earlier Earth vessels like the NX class then serves. The Reliant is actually fitted with a roll bar, positioned on top of the squared off area of the rear of the saucer section. It housed additional weapons, which actually improving its offensive capabilities. When Khan took over, and here's Khan and his followers took control of the Reliant after they were accidentally discovered on SETI Alpha 5. Now, a lot of the original series fans will notice that Khan Noonien Singh is a madman obsessed with revenge. We first saw him on in the original series episode, Space Seed. I will leave a link down in the description. At the end of the episode, Captain Kirk exiled Khan and his supposed wife, which I say Yeoman, on SETI Alpha 5. So here are the two large shuttle bay doors, actually marked 1 and 2 on the saucer section of the impulse engine pod. So the warp engines on the attached to the outer edges had no direct connection with the roll bar above, which was not fitted with variants such as the Miranda class, such as the Soyuz class. So the impulse engine was positioned in the rear of the saucer section, similar position to the ones of the Constitution class. Here is Khan Noonien Singh, who is a genetically engineered human, possessing enhanced strength and intelligence. He tried to take control of Earth during the eugenics war in the 1990s, but was overthrown, forced to flee in a sleeper ship called the U.S.S. Botany Bay. He remained in stasis until 2267, when he tried to take control of the Enterprise. He was thwarted out and exiled to SETI Alpha 5. Well, that was a tough break for him. The classic scene that everyone knows is the Battle of Matara Nebula. Straight from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. This was actually one of the most epic movie battles in the Star Trek franchise, next to the Battle of Wolf 359, Battle of Sector 001, which those are basically the next generation era battles. It's actually an intense battle between the U.S.S. Enterprise and U.S.S. Reliant, in which Kirk and Khan battled in the Battle of Wits. They were both damaged in the first skirmish, but withdrew to make repairs. By the time they re-engaged, the Enterprise was much worse shape than the Reliant. Taking advantage of Khan's lack of experience fighting space battles, the Enterprise scored serious decisive phaser hits to Reliance with its first took out its weapons roll bar, which is right here, and the port nacelle, which actually renders the U.S.S. Reliant. And when the Reliant port nacelle is destroyed, it's actually a sitting duck, but Khan would not surrender. Kirk ordered the Enterprise to send it vertically to stand by for photon torpedoes. Once the Enterprise Reliant passed over them, the Enterprise rose up from behind and began a relentless onslaught, destroyed the ship's upper weapons pylon and port nacelle. Mortally wounded, Khan used his last dying breath to set Genesis for detonation, knowing that without war power, the Enterprise would be unable to outrun its blast, and his nemesis Admiral Kirk, would die too. Thanks to Spock, who entered the radiation-contaminated engineering department to reconnect power to the warp engines, the Enterprise managed to escape before the Reliant was completely obliterated by the explosion caused by a Genesis device. Even though that Kirk defeated Khan, it became at a terrible cost. The death of his friend Spock. So, move on. Next page. Here are the deck plans. Much of a unique Federation design. We're not usually familiar with the nacelles being underneath the saucer section, but it's actually nice for a change. So, designed primarily for science research supply vessels, Marine-class starships, they're not usually well armed. Latter half of the 24th century, for example, the U.S.S. Lantry, which is also another Miranda class, known as a Class 6 Starfleet supply ship, not fitted for a weapons roll bar and was equipped with just basic Class 3 defensive armaments. The Reliant had standard weapons such as phaser strip for the main bridge, as well as a weapons roll bar. So here's underneath. You have your deflector grid, your sensory dome, and here's your lower fusion power core right here. One stands out most. And here's the long weapon roll bar. Because having the roll bar is like having a roll cage for a NASCAR stock car, which is very unique. So here's your phaser emitters. And your main bridge, smack dab, right in the center as always. And when we actually look face first, we actually get to see the Reliant. These are your 4 torpedo launchers, and right behind it is also the same thing. And here are the 2 shuttle bay docks, 1 and 2. 1 for port, 2 for starboard. There's been actually 2 other Miranda class. There's actually 2 Miranda class vessels named the U.S.S. Saratoga. First was NCC-1867, first encountered the whale probe in 2286. Basically Star Trek IV, the voyage home. And the U.S.S. Saratoga, NCC 31911, destroyed by the Borg in 2367. I hope we get around to the U.S.S. Saratoga, because that would be amazing. Let's see. So, for the Redress Bridge, the Reliant actually had an identical bridge to the Enterprise. They're essentially the same, except the chairs are getting brown upholstery, extra ceiling piece was added. The combat action for the Miranda-class vessels took part in major battles in the 24th century, actually present in both engagements with the Borg in the Alpha Quadrant. Also saw numerous actions in the Dominion War battles. Okay, now moving on. Now the design. Here we go. This was the original concept, which was actually a cut down version of the Enterprise. Saucer in the cells, but no engineering hole. Here is actually the original storyboard in the battle between the U.S.S. Reliant and the U.S.S. Enterprise. Surprisingly, designers were relished the opportunity to create the Reliant, the first new Starship vessel to be seen on screen since the Enterprise. Here's actually another earlier version. This one has no roll bar whatsoever. And down here, it's on full color concept artwork. I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit sleepy. I'm sorry for the yawning, I just got back. By the time it's actually full color concept where the Balmatar Nebula is produced, Reliant has been configured to a layout that would become very familiar. Here's actually more. Besides, this one's a revised concept of the rear view of the U.S.S. Reliant. It actually shows the roll bar. Now here are the studio models built from industrial light and magic based off the illustrations proven by the Paramount Art Department. Now, building and filming it, the model took 4 months to build. Going to be extremely easy to work and film with. This was a huge main task for the visual effects. In the script, where the roll bar was to be destroyed, so to avoid damage to the original model, the second roll bar was actually created. And the Reliant was extremely easy to set up for filming thanks to its lightweight mounted cameras. Now, another piece that was built in a similar way was the port nacelle after the roll bar was blown up. Ralston said, one of the engine pods blows up. We couldn't blow up the whole pod, and for some reason, so I built a shape similar to it. It was much more like glass blowing out of a warp nacelle. We shot that as a separate element and printed them on top of the actual model of the Reliant. While the other pieces blowing off it, then when the whole nacelle blows off, there's just a bunch of explosions, separate arms that we shot using the motion control. Now, the original model seen here sold at an auction for $50,000. It's actually on display at the Science Fiction Archives in France. Held by them, though. Its only movie appearance was Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. I'm not going to get in for details since I already just discussed the whole dang thing. So here's some trivia facts. Christy Alley would have a hugely successful career, both film and television, but her portrayal as Savick marked her first big screen appearance. And a good fast fact about her, she won be Spock, and she was so in love with that role that she actually wore her ears to sleep. Actor Paul Winfield, who played actually Captain Terrell in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, actually guest starred as Captain Dothman in Star Trek Next Generation episode Darmok. I'll leave a link down in the description for that, for the episode. So the Reliant is actually officially a Miranda class vessel, but its class has never been mentioned in the movie. But in fact, the name was not used until it was seen on screen in episodes of the Next Generation on several science. According to the Star Trek Encyclopedia, the class was named for Prospero's daughter, which is actually a character in William Shakespeare's play The Tempest. Okay, so next month we're going to be taking a look at the Akira class starship. Basically the Akira class. This is a huge fan favorite class starship. Even one of my favorites too. But I like seeing a Luna class starship. Eagle Moss, please make a Titan class. Please make a Luna class starship. Name U.S.S. Titan NCC-1864. Do that. So inside is going to be an in-depth profile of the Akira class role defending Earth from Borg during Battle Sector 001, and a look at the artwork story behind the design, and the CGI version for the Akira class on big screen. So we'll take a look at that in March. Here's your ship. Glad it's not pre-1911. Originally, I would actually have to cut this off and go to the model, but since I already opened it, and actually here's a good fast fact about the U.S.S. Reliant, the model itself. Sometimes when you first get this, sometimes the roll bar, it may break off at some point, but the best way for it not to happen again is basically put a little bit of super glue on it, so that way it won't break off. Because if the whole entire roll bar breaks off, then you may have to file this for return and get a new one. So enough about that. So the weapon roll bar, yeah, you can actually see the Aztec thing. Barely visible, but for detail. And here's the underside with the warp nacelles. And note about this, the display stand is actually the same for the Klingon battle cruiser, the Defiant and Voyager. And here's the back. You have Shuttle Bay 1 right here and Shuttle Bay 2 on the starboard side. Top view. Very neat. So we actually take this off. And here's actually your sensor dome right here, and actually your fusion power dome right here. Actually, like the nacelles, and the nacelles are actually still based off of the U.S.S. Enterprise refit variant, and it's actually a good idea for anyone if they want to recreate the Battle Matara Nebula using Photoshop or photo design. I actually like the way that actually the nacelle glows even from right here. Usually you actually have that translucent blue coming off, and it just feels like that the nacelles are operating and the ship's ready to go to warp. Registry number right here. Very nice. I actually have these little phaser bangs. And here's actually the RCS thrusters. Overall, I like the U.S.S. Reliant. It is pretty neat. So it's very neat. Yeah, not much to say. It's pretty cool. There's no flaws in it. It's just that the roll bar will tend to break off. I actually proved it because my mom actually put this in the kitchen, and she accidentally dropped it like upside down, and I flipped out. And I told her, and that's why I should not let you handle these kind of ships. And when I found out that it broke, I told her, I'm not letting you handle these anymore. So, basically a little bit funny. So, yeah. So, yeah. We're going to be taking a look at next two ships. One's going to be the Akira class, and Akira class, and I think the Chaminar battle cruiser, I believe. I don't know. We'll find out in March. So, yeah, since March is going to be like the same month as February, and it'll be kind of weird if they actually send it to me on this, ship it to me on the same day, and I'll still get it on the same day. So, yeah, my name is Dustin. Like this video, favorite it, subscribe, and subscribe for more Eagle Moss videos. So, my name's Dustin, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.